together to +233. So there will be buses available for that. All right, so now I want to move to the last session. Okay, I think, I understand. We have to have some tea break. Yeah, looks like I'm pumped up for the last session so that we can close and go and have proper food. All right, so let's have a tea break for just about 20 minutes, and then we can come back and finish the last session for the day. Thank you very much.
your own business takes time, passion, and hard work. It takes commitment and perseverance in the face of challenges. As an entrepreneur, I look for values, how to get more for less. That is what WACREN too much business gives. Too much data, minutes of calls, SMS bundles, and my favorite part is too much flexibility to customize your mobile plan.
Get more value for your business. Sign on to Vodafone Too Much Business, a cost-efficient mobile offer that allows you to choose and customize how much data, voice or SMS allocations your business needs. Send start to 050-777-9000 or email vodafonebusiness.gh@vodafone.com.
Whatever your business needs are, Vodafone Too Much Business has a solution for you.
Africa Connect 3 has a vision to connect Africa to a world of vast knowledge through high-speed, reliable connectivity. A vision to connect Africa to a world of unique solutions through digital technologies. A vision to connect Africa to a world of unlimited opportunities and possibilities through research and education collaborations. A vision that will translate into new treatments for diseases, apt solutions to environmental problems, creating and openly shared knowledge, train staff for high performance, employable skills for the job market, digital inclusiveness and participation, a generation of innovative solution providers. Africa Connect 3 is a shared vision, a shared commitment, a shared action, and a shared impact.
Since 2011, the EU co-funded Africa Connect project has been supporting the creation and consolidation of regional and national research and education networks across Africa, delivered locally by the Open Tillit Alliance for Eastern and Southern Africa, WACREN for West and Central Africa, and ASREN for North Africa. Africa Connect project provides access of tertiary education and research institutions to dedicated, high-capacity and affordable internet connectivity via the Pan-European Giant Network to a total of over 1,600 African institutions. EduROM connects researchers and students anytime and anywhere at 172 institutions in 17 African countries. For example, in Uganda, students, researchers, and university staff can connect to over 300 metro spots in Kampala, Mukunu, and Entebbe. And thanks to the high-speed and reliable internet connectivity provided by RENEW, the Ugandan National Research and Education Network, surgeons from Mount Sinai Clinic in New York can offer remote support to a surgical operation taking place in the Kayabirwa Surgical Facility Center in Uganda. Africa Connect also opens doors for the full participation of new African voices in the scholarly communication landscape. Through the LIPSINS initiative led by WACREN, the Regional Research and Education Network for West and Central Africa, the regional networks are exploring the growing trend towards freely available scholarly content, as well as free and open channel for the dissemination of academic information. In North Africa, ASREN, the Regional Research and Education Network, is supporting the needs of user communities in Africa, leading engagement activities with major regional communities. More specifically, the Global Monitoring for Environment and Security for Africa and the African Group on Earth Observation. ASREN held several face-to-face and virtual meetings and workshops with various communities to identify their needs in terms of connectivity, access mechanisms, data dissemination, and promote the use of shared services provided by research and education networks. Africa Connect focuses on strengthening human resources capacities and expertise at different levels across the research and education communities to retain local talents and curb brain drain. In Nigeria, EcoConnect is offering the ICT for Girls program. consisting of online courses for women to gain hands-on skills in physical computing and data analysis, virtual hackathons to exploit what they learn, and conferences to build community and promote innovation in tech. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, all physical events were cancelled. Yet we provided over 300 hours of trainings on service outreach, cloud and network connectivity, trust and identity to 730 participants in 2020 only. African entrants also proved vital in the survival of higher education institutions in the switch to online learning during the pandemic. For example, in Zambia, WACREN installed an open source course management platform offering free hosting for 22 member institutions. In Kenya, Kenneth is offering a 40% discount on data bundle to university students. In West and Central Africa, WACREN offered a licensed use on its video conferencing service to support the need for online collaboration tools to over 20 institutions. In Morocco, the Marwan Network launched an e-learning portal together with the Ministry of Education. The work to accelerate Africa's scientific and educational breakthrough at a global scale, reinforcing relationships with Europe and beyond, continues in the current and third phase of the project Africa Connect 3. A renewed commitment with our local partners and the European Union, aiming at further extending the reach of the regional research and education networks, greatly improving access for researchers, students, and institutions to digital infrastructures and technologies, connecting Africa to unlimited possibilities.
For more than 10 years now, WACREN has supported the advancement of research and education in West and Central Africa. We serve our community with three key areas: connectivity, advanced digital services, and developing human capital. Through affordable, high-speed connectivity, researchers, staff, and students can collaborate with their colleagues within the region and beyond. Our video conferencing tool has come in handy in the COVID-19 pandemic period to support academic continuity. The tool is connecting thousands of students with their lecturers and academic supervisors and keeping administrative work going through online meetings. With EduRoam, learning is exciting. Through this authentication service, students can securely connect to available Wi-Fi when they visit other institutions across the world. EduID allows students and researchers to log into and access web-based services anywhere in Africa by using their own institution credentials. No need for re-registration or request for permission. National rents and their member institutions can access WACREN security and hosting services. Our modern infrastructure and capacity ensure that subscribers get access to both services at affordable rates with high reliability. Network Operations Center as a Service, NOCAS, is designed for national rent and R&E organizations looking for constant and effective monitoring and maintenance of their networks. WACREN has publicly scheduled and on-demand capacity building sessions for the brains and hands that handle the national and campus networks in the region. Over the years, users and beneficiaries of our network, services and capacity sessions have created value for their communities and by extension, the society. WACREN has been able to serve its community thanks to the European Union's support on the Africa Connect project. The journey of unearthing potentials and creating opportunity for real socio-economic value continues.
Creating your own business takes time, passion, and hard work. It takes commitment and perseverance in the face of challenges. As an entrepreneur, I look for value. How to get more for less. That is what Vodafone Too Much Business gives. Too much data, minutes for calls, SMS bundles, and my favorite part is too much flexibility to customize your mobile plan.
Get more value for your business. Sign on to Vodafone Too Much Business, a cost-efficient mobile offer that allows you to choose and customize how much data, voice or SMS allocations your business needs. Send start to 050-777-9000 or email vodafonebusiness.gh@vodafone.com.
Whatever your business needs are, Vodafone Too Much Business has a solution for you.
Africa Connect 3 has a vision to connect Africa to a world of vast knowledge through high-speed, reliable connectivity. A vision to connect Africa to a world of unique solutions through digital technologies. A vision to connect Africa to a world of unlimited opportunities and possibilities through research and education collaborations. A vision that will translate into new treatments for diseases, apt solutions to environmental problems, creating and openly sharing knowledge, train staff for high performance, employable skills for the job market, digital inclusiveness and participation, a generation of innovative solution providers. Africa Connect 3 is a shared vision, a shared commitment, a shared action, and a shared impact.
Since 2011, the EU-co-funded Africa Connect project has been supporting the creation and consolidation of regional and national research and education networks across Africa, delivered locally by the Ubuntu Alliance for Eastern and Southern Africa, WACREN for West and Central Africa, and ASREN for North Africa. Africa Connect project provides access of tertiary education and research institutions to dedicated high-capacity and affordable internet connectivity via the Pan-European Giant Network to a total of over 1,600 African institutions. EduRoam connects researchers and students anytime and anywhere at 172 institutions in 17 African countries. For example, in Uganda, students, researchers, and university staff can connect to over 300 metro spots in Kampala, Mukono, and Entebbe. And thanks to the high-speed and reliable internet connectivity provided by RENEW, the Ugandan National Research and Education Network, surgeons from Mount Sinai Clinic in New York can offer remote support to a surgical operation taking place in the Kayabirwa Surgical Facility Center in Uganda. Africa Connect also opens doors for the full participation of new African voices in the scholarly communication landscape. Through the Lipsens initiative led by WACREN, the Regional Research and Education Network for West and Central Africa, the regional networks are exploring the growing trend towards freely available scholarly content, as well as free and open channel for the dissemination of academic information. In North Africa, ASREN, the Regional Research and Education Network, is supporting the needs of user communities in Africa, leading engagement activities with major regional communities. More specifically, the Global Monitoring for Environment and Security for Africa and the African Group on Earth Observation. ASREN held several face-to-face and virtual meetings and workshops with various communities to identify their needs in terms of connectivity, access mechanisms, data dissemination, and promote the use of shared services provided by research and education networks. Africa Connect focuses on strengthening human resources capacities and expertise at different levels across the research and education communities to retain local talents and curb brain drain. In Nigeria, EcoConnect is offering the ICT for Girls program, consisting of online courses for women to gain hands-on skills in physical computing and data analysis, virtual hackathons to exploit what they learn, and conferences to build community and promote innovation in tech. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, all physical events were cancelled, yet we provided over 300 hours of trainings on service outreach, cloud and network connectivity, trust and identity to 730 participants in 2020 only. African entrants also proved vital in the survival of higher education institutions in the switch to online learning during the pandemic. For example, in Zambia, Zamren installed an open-source course management platform offering free hosting for 22 member institutions. In Kenya, Kinet is offering a 40% discount on data bundle to university students. In West and Central Africa, WACREN offered a licensed use on its video conferencing service to support the need for online collaboration tools to over 20 institutions. In Morocco, the Marwan Network launched an e-learning portal together with the Ministry of Education. The work to accelerate Africa's scientific and educational breakthrough at a global scale, reinforcing relationships with Europe and beyond, continues in the current and third phase of the project Africa Connect 3. A renewed commitment with our local partners and the European Union, aiming at further extending the reach of the regional research and education networks, greatly improving access for researchers, students, and institutions to digital infrastructures and technologies, connecting Africa to unlimited possibilities.
For more than 10 years now, WACREN has supported the advancement of research and education in West and Central Africa. We serve our community in three key areas: connectivity, advanced digital services, and developing human capital. Through affordable, high-speed connectivity, researchers, staff, and students can collaborate with their colleagues within the region and beyond. Our video conferencing tool has come in handy in the COVID-19 pandemic period to support academic continuity. The tool is connecting thousands of students with their lecturers and academic supervisors and keeping administrative work going through online meetings. With EduRoam, learning is exciting. Through this authentication service, students can securely connect to available Wi-Fi when they visit other institutions across the world. EduID allows students and researchers to log into and access web-based services anywhere in Africa by using their own institutional credentials. No need for re-registration or request for permission. National RENs and their member institutions can access WACREN security and hosting services. Our modern infrastructure and capacity ensure that suppliers get the best of both services at affordable rates with high reliability. Network Operations Center as a service (NOCAS) is designed for national events and R&D organizations looking for constant and effective monitoring and maintenance of their networks. WACREN has publicly shared and American institute organizations are the brains and hands that handle the national and campus networks in the region. Over the years, users and beneficiaries of our network, services and capacity sessions have created value for our communities and by extension, the society. WACREN has been able to serve its community thanks to the European Union support in our African Connect Phase project. The journey of unearthing potentials and creating opportunity for real socio-economic value continues.
Creating your own business takes time, passion, and hard work. It takes commitment and perseverance in the face of challenge.
Hello. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to start the next session. Please, can you walk in here? Can you walk in here so we can start the last session? In the meantime, this is the bag we are looking for. So please, if perchance you have seen it anywhere, please let us know now. This is the bag we are looking for. Or it's a handbag, brown in complexion, and it contains everything: his passports, his phones, everything. So please, if you have any idea where the bag is, kindly let us know now. Right, thank you. So please, we want to start the last session. Can we come in? Can the ushers help other participants to come in so we can start and end on time and get ready for dinner? Please, can we come in so we can start We are entreating all participants at the foyer. Please, can you walk in so we can start and close? The ushers, please help participants to walk in now. Ushers, please help participants to walk in now so we can begin the last session for today. So for those of us who just walked in, please, this is the bag we are looking for. This is the lost, missing bag that we want to find. This bag contains the participant's passports, his phones, and everything, his traveling documents. So please, if you have seen it anywhere, or you happen to see somebody who picked it, please let us know now so we can pursue and find it. Okay, so we want to start the next session now. And this session is titled Scalable Platforms for Digital Education. Scalable Platforms for Digital Education. And we have with us inside the room all the panel members. Thankfully, we have all the panel members except one. And so quickly, we want to invite Mr. Damien Alain. Mr. Damien Alain from IRD. Please put your hands together for Damien. Then we have Mr. Omo Oaya. Mr. Omo Oaya, the Chief Strategy Officer for WACREN. Omo, please put your hands together for Omo as he comes. Then we have Professor Simon Taylor of Brunel University, London. Professor Simon Taylor. And we have Mr. Eric Kickenborg, the Chief Collaboration Officer of Nordinet. Please put hands together for Eric. And I think we have, or we will be having, okay, we will not be having her, so, okay, so we have, I guess, Prof is going to be the chair for the session. All right, over to you, Prof. Thank you.
So, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. It's been brought to my attention that we are literally standing between you and your dinner. So, we're going to try and keep prompt. I've heard the coach is leaving at 6:30, so we'll run until 6:29 if that's okay. Yeah, we'll try and go until 6 o'clock and then wind up. But a question I wanted to ask before we start, who in this room teaches students? Okay. I was thinking back over, I've been teaching for 30 years and I think I've taught about 4,000 students, undergraduate and master's level. The reason I'm asking you is this session is particularly about you. So if we're going to introduce an infrastructure for education, or that word beginning with P I can never pronounce properly, pedagogy, oh, did it? Then what do you want from that system? Now, the way we're going to do this is, I'm going to say something about my own experiences about teaching computer science, but we're going to start with Damien, who's going to talk about the African education campus. I've probably got the wrong way around. For inclusivity, Damien's going to do his talk in French, but the slides are in English. Okay, so I'll be reading the slides. I don't know about anybody else. Then we're going to switch to me, and I'm going to share some thoughts about what the requirements are for pedagogy in computer science, It's a bit different to everything else, but computer science is kind of needed. There's a few speakers in the last session that we need more programmers. They said that quite specifically. Then we're going to go to Eric, who's going to talk about some innovations in video conferencing. And then we're going to finish, as ever, with Omo, who's going to share some thoughts about the wonderful job WACREN's doing in the area. So let me continue by handing over to Damien. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Very happy to be here. Are you ready for the slides? Okay. And you told me that I could move it. Okay. Yes, I will do it in French. Sorry for that. It's easier for me. Je vais vous présenter aujourd'hui un projet Africa Digital Campus en 5 à 10 minutes. J'ai mon timer, c'est un challenge. Un projet qui veut soutenir le développement du e-learning dans la région de WACREN, tout en bénéficiant des NREN, en s'appuyant vraiment sur les NREN qui existent dans les pays. Mon nom est Damien Aline, je travaille à l'IRD, Institut de recherche pour le développement, institut qui fait de la recherche en partenariat avec les pays méditerranéens et subtropicaux. Et je travaille au département informatique et nous appuyons les chercheurs à gérer leurs données. Et je sais à quel point il est difficile de faire de la recherche sans bonne connectivité. C'est pour ça que IRD est très présent sur ce sujet et pense que les NREN sont une clé pour résoudre ce problème. Nous collaborons avec WACREN maintenant depuis quelques années, peut-être plus que 10 ans, mais ça ne nous rajeunit pas tout ça, donc je vais continuer. Et avec WACREN, nous avons donc monté un projet que nous avons proposé à AFD, Commission européenne et secrétariat ACP, dans le cadre d'un programme qui s'appelle Direct, qui a été monté pendant la période Covid, dans le but de soutenir les systèmes d'information et de renforcer leur résilience. Ce projet donc, de e-learning, voulant renforcer les NREN, est implémenté avec l'aide de l'AUF sur le volet e-learning. Et suite à un call for application, c'est l'université virtuelle du Burkina Faso et l'INSTI, l'Institut de Lokossa au Bénin, qui ont été sélectionnés. C'est un projet pilote, important de le comprendre. On se focalise vraiment uniquement sur deux universités. Le but étant que les résultats que l'on obtiendra servent à convaincre les décideurs à passer à l'échelle. C'est aussi l'ambition de WACREN, comme Homo l'a mentionné tout à l'heure. Donc il y a un Work Package Advocacy for Scaling Up ici qui est aussi très important. Sorry, I want to change the slide. Ok. Le projet peut se résumer dans un slogan avec 3 points importants. Une communauté engagée, des ressources pédagogiques libres, accessibles pour tous, et un challenge numérique, bien sûr. Je vais commencer par le challenge numérique. Comme je vous disais, le but est de s'appuyer sur les NRN, de renforcer les NRN pour que les services e-learning vraiment puissent être fournis avec une bonne qualité. Quand on parle NRN, on pense tout de suite connectivité, accès à Internet. Il y a beaucoup d'autres services, c'est la ligne bleu clair que vous voyez sur ce schéma. Mais ça représente peut-être qu'une partie visible de l'iceberg, parce que finalement, pour que les services tournent, soient opérationnels, il faut s'attaquer aussi aux couches bleu foncé qui touchent l'infrastructure et notamment en termes basés sur de la connectivité, basés sur les équipements, routeurs, serveurs, basés sur des services techniques tels que fédération d'identité. Pour tout ça, vous avez besoin également d'une équipe pérenne qui met en œuvre donc, ces services et qui s'assure du maintien en conditions opérationnelles de toute l'infrastructure. C'est ce que vous voyez sur les côtés, les activités en orange dédiées à cette équipe. Et la couche en orange clair, ici, touchant la gouvernance et le modèle économique, c'est également quelque chose de très important pour qu'un NREN puisse durer. Et on essaye de s'y attaquer également dans ce cadre de ce projet en travaillant directement avec les gouvernements. Ce projet, en fait, se focalise sur 4 services qu'on va essayer de mettre en place donc, au Burkina Faso et au Bénin. Il y a évidemment Edurom, le cloud, pour stocker des données, des ressources pédagogiques, tout ce qui va être visioconférence et enfin évidemment le Learning Management System permettant de fournir les cours de manière dynamique. Sur ce challenge numérique, ici vous voyez un petit schéma en vert ici, c'est l'infrastructure, la plateforme de services qu'on veut donc renforcer ou mettre en place dans le data center national Burkina Faso et Bénin. C'est la couche bleu clair des services que j'ai mentionné tout à l'heure. On s'attaque aussi à la couche bleu foncé et tout ce qui est connectivité entre l'université et le data center. Et on travaille ici avec les opérateurs télécoms et le gouvernement. Et enfin, évidemment, une sortie vers le réseau WACREN, puisque c'est le but que les différents pays appartenant à cette communauté puissent collaborer entre eux via le réseau et dans le but d'accéder à la communauté mondiale de l'enseignement supérieur et recherche. Le projet Africa Connect, dont on a parlé, y contribue. Nous avons parlé de l'infrastructure. Ce projet vise à produire des ressources pédagogiques et ce projet a pour objectif d'en produire plus de 150 sur différentes matières que vous voyez ici dans le parcours de licence ou de master. Pour produire ces cours, l'idée n'était pas de réinventer la roue, l'idée est de s'inspirer de ce qui a déjà été fait. On s'est beaucoup inspiré de ce que le CAMES a expérimenté à travers leur guide de bonnes pratiques. 150 cours donc, seront disponibles au total entre le Bénin et le Burkina Faso. Et en fin de compte, cela représentera un peu plus de 200 ressources pédagogiques libres. Donc, ressources pédagogiques étant différent des cours, le cours étant interactif avec beaucoup d'éléments, les ressources pédagogiques étant un PDF, une vidéo, un PowerPoint, un quiz. Et ces ressources-là produites par le projet visent à être libres, ouvertes pour toute la communauté. Et hébergées, ici, comme vous le voyez là, au niveau du cloud WACREN, qui permettra à tous les NREN connectés de pouvoir y accéder facilement. Et enfin, dernier point, une communauté engagée, en effet, une fois que le projet s'arrête, l'idée c'est que des cours continuent à être produits et que l'infrastructure mise en place continue à être maintenue en conditions opérationnelles. Donc sur ces deux aspects, il y a deux communautés importantes. La communauté d'enseignants, aujourd'hui donc composée de plus de 60 enseignants au Burkina Faso, plus de 60 enseignants au Bénin, se rencontrent, se retrouvent selon des événements, dans le but de s'entraider pour produire ces cours. Notamment dans l'usage des vidéos, montage de vidéos. Eric nous montrera tout à l'heure un exemple de prototype innovant qui pourra faciliter le travail des enseignants pour produire et monter des vidéos. Donc cette communauté s'est déjà organisée en sous-groupes afin de traiter des thèmes très spécifiques. Dans la scénarisation des cours, par exemple, lorsqu'on fait du cours en présentiel et qu'on doit réaliser son premier cours en distanciel, évidemment, il y a un scénario, un nouveau scénario, un nouveau paradigme finalement à accepter. Et certains enseignants donc, se regroupent pour travailler sur ce sous-thème. Il y a aussi donc, motivation des étudiants, l'évaluation de l'apprentissage et tout ce qui est autour du montage de vidéos. On a eu donc 3-4 formations pour chaque pays. Et on a aussi également un workshop qui permet à tous ces enseignants de se retrouver afin de mettre en place une véritable communauté de pratique. Communauté, oui, pour faire quoi? Pour aller où? À quoi va me servir la communauté? Quelles valeurs je peux amener à la communauté? Et enfin, la deuxième communauté donc, concerne les NREN IT Focal Points, qui est très important, que l'on regroupe également dans chaque pays. L'idée est de faire 4 séminaires par pays pour que ces informaticiens montent en compétence sur les équipements que le projet va mettre en place, notamment autour de la conception et l'implémentation des réseaux de campus. Voilà, donc très rapidement, je vous ai présenté les 3 points principaux du projet. Merci beaucoup pour votre attention. Il y a un stand dehors Africa Digital Campus où vous pouvez poser toutes vos questions ou par email. Vous le voyez là, et il y a quelques liens également qui vous permettent de suivre au fil du temps les différentes avancées. Merci beaucoup.
We'll take questions at the end. So we can load up the Brunel slides, please. Okay, whilst the slides are being loaded, I'll just say it is literally fantastic to be back here. I was saying to Omo, I think we first met before WACREN was a thing. So I've been participating in the development of digital infrastructures in Africa for some time, and we've accomplished quite a lot. It's amazing how far things have come. About Brunel, I don't know if anybody's flown into Heathrow, but you'll see my campus from there as you fly in. We're about 5 miles to the north of Heathrow. So next time you're flying in, wave and I might see you. Right, no more slides. Good. So, effective pedagogy in computing. It's just over there. There's a flow chart there. It's not actually a flow chart. It just gives you an idea of what I'm talking about. That is actually a simulation model of the clinical pathway that we developed for the National Institute of Clinical Excellence in the UK. The reason I'm putting it there is because, arguably, without computer science, we wouldn't have been able to design that pathway, and we wouldn't have been able to help the British health system to design a better way of treating prostate cancer. It's a good motivating example. There are plenty of other motivating examples why A, computer science is absolutely necessary as part of a national economy, and B, a digital infrastructure to support that is incredibly important. So just to start off with that one, so I can do the next slide. Good. So why is this of interest to WACREN 2023, this session? So Ghana in particular, as other countries that are similar, have declared that there is a need for digital skills. They want to transition to a digital economy. Where does that come from? Now, I would argue that computer science is different to a lot of other disciplines in science. Because, okay, you know, if you're talking about biology, you need, test tubes. If you're talking about climate change, you need data collection and things like that. But with computer science, what's often overlooked is that you need extra technological infrastructure to help students understand key skills. And I'm going to come to that in a minute. So what are the major issues in that? So students develop different scales of software. I teach network computing. Anderson Sear at the back teaches network and operating systems in year 2. I teach network computing in year 3. In year 2, students are introduced how to design a network. So you need a network to work on. And when you're working in a university, the idea of going to information services and saying, can we perform live experiments on your network? Well, they'll shoot you. It's not going to happen. So what we have to do is kind of jerry-rig a network on somebody's computer, their individual PC, and let them experiment on that using Wireshark or something like that. The transferable skills of the students learn how to set up a network, and we talk a lot about setting up networks in WACREN and the area. So it's an incredibly important skill. When they come onto my module in year 3 of their final year, they want to very often set up client-server software. And again, on the campus, they don't like us doing this. The reason is students can accidentally write software that can potentially expose vulnerabilities in the campus network quite easily. It's box standards client-server code. So information services at my university, and it's the same in every university, would rather you didn't do that on campus. So we teach students how to do that on their own computers, and then explain how they could do that in the field. If I had access to a digital educational infrastructure that would let me do that with students in the wild, it'd be incredibly useful. Other universities do this. There's the concept of the DMZ. It's oddly named the demilitarized zone. It's an area where it's outside of campus security and you can make mistakes. I think that's been absolutely fundamental to any infrastructure supporting computing education. Now, just to sort of give you an overview of the kind of things that students do in my university, and I think it's pretty much in every university, it's the scale of projects. So we do coursework, okay? So we'll ask a student to implement an algorithm, bubble source or something like that. It's not particularly challenging, but it's key skills. And they'll do that in a language like Java or Python or C++. We tend to focus on Java on the undergraduates because we teach software engineering, and in postgraduates they tend to focus on Python because they're doing AI and data science. Now, small software examples. We also run, and this is something which is for food for thought, 2 things in the first year and second year of their education. We run as core team building exercises. So they work on a group project for about 6 months. In year 1, it's to basically implement a bunch of algorithms using a robot, which ultimately they use then to navigate around a maze. In year 2, it's developing a mobile app. And there's soft skills in that how to work in a software engineering team, there's hard skills in how to develop the technology. Now, what's very useful is it steps away from the usual education environment into problem-based learning. And it gets students to work together to solve problems. And again, support from that, from a digital campus, would be fantastically useful, especially if students from different universities or indeed different countries. And then when they get into the final year, they do the big project, which is usually individual. And this is where I think a digital campus is fantastically exciting, especially if it goes beyond national borders. I love the idea of students working at my university, meeting students working at other universities to cross-fertilize ideas and, for example, develop IoT-based weather stations. And they've done that working with other people in other countries. And I think that's where a digital education campus can break down barriers and really get students working together to solve relevant international problems. Now, it's not going to be for every student, but I know a bunch of students I've taught over the years who would love to do that. And it's very difficult to share. It's very difficult to work together. And what we've seen from Damien so far is plans towards that. What we're going to hear from Eric is ways of getting video conferencing, things like that, into digital education campuses. But it's the ability for us to sort of shrink the world together educationally, get students to work together effectively. There's a huge potential there. So, just to share this, what we do at Brunel is we have got common digital teaching and learning support. So we have an education environment. We're using Brightspace at the moment. We were using another system a couple of years ago, and in probably 5 years' time, when they get bored of this, they'll probably transition onto another one. Other universities use Moodle. There's a variety available. For me, it's not particularly interesting because it's just a way of me putting up my slides, it's me putting up my course design, it's for me to put up an excellent course to engage students. I don't really care what I'm using. YouTube, indispensable. I can video myself. If you haven't got access to that, then, sorry, if you have got access to that, in addition, we use a system called Panopto. So all our lectures are recorded and students can use that to review the lectures afterwards. Admittedly, a lot of our students, we do face-to-face teaching, they kind of use that as an opportunity not to come to class and watch that in their own time as if it was YouTube, but you know, people have got different learning styles. We use software like Poll Everywhere to embed online quizzes, which is really nice because it gets students engaging, even in the same classroom. And then we do digital assessment. And this is interesting to share because, again, on a campus, how do you do digital exams? All our exams are digital. All our coursework is digital. I mark digitally. I assess digitally. We'll release marks back to students digitally. Will a campus be able to support that side of teaching and learning? Because in a degree, that will lead to a degree. That will lead to module passing and things like that. We need specialist needs in computer science, integrated development environments, IDEs. They're great because they're free. Different universities use different ones. We use Eclipse, we use a bit of Anaconda. Code repositories like Git, nice and free, we get that. AI, machine learning, simulation, languages and APIs. Cautionary tale about that is there are so many different machine learning APIs. If every university uses a different one, surprisingly enough, it's difficult to share common expertise because the way one machine learning algorithm is implemented using one API is often very different to another, despite the fact they have the same name. So another benefit of a digital campus is perhaps standardizing the way we teach digital science, data science and AI, and therefore trying to get a sort of a capacity building skills and expertise thing going in a particular country. We need data warehousing and repository, and we've talked about that already. We need some way of doing three-tier architecture for basically web-based software design. So an access to Docker repository, which is easy to do, deployments of an Apache server, and then training for students to actually run software on that is all very easy for me to say it. It's incredibly difficult to teach it. And having common educational needs to do that would be very useful. And the reason is that's your bread and butter of any digital economy. If a student's going to leave university and go and learn how to develop web-based software, it'd be awfully useful if they've actually done it as part of their degree. But saying it and doing it and teaching it is very difficult. And then Internet of Things, there's all sorts of excitement. I mean, we've heard of, one excellent example of where IoT could be used in climate change. Teaching students to do that, it's gadgets, but it's also the software, MQTT, which API will you use for the middleware to exchange data from IoT devices into data warehouses or whatever. Again, having some sort of commonality through a digital platform would be very useful. And then for some students, particularly at master's level, access to CPUs, GPUs for high-performance computing, and again, learning the skills to do that would be very, very useful. And again, there are so many different ways of doing it. Having some sort of common agreement, one way of doing it would be very useful as well. That's my soapbox. So I'm going to finish and hand over to the next speaker, who I believe is Eric.
Hi, my name is Eric. I work for Nordonet, which is the national network or regional network for the 5 Nordic countries that are Denmark, Sweden, Norway, Finland, and Iceland. And one of the tasks we have there is to provide the infrastructure, so that will be the network, but also the services, educational services on top of the network. Simon, you reminded me of something that's really important here, is that interoperability and is key in this. And also, don't deploy something you don't know how to get out of. So it needs to be standardized. Interoperable and standardized is the two keywords when you deliver educational infrastructure. One of the things I've been working with, there's two types I see as infrastructure that are really important to begin with. That's the synchronous, which is the video conferencing part, and then there's the asynchronous, which is the video management system. Simon mentioned Panopto. There are other tools that can do the same. Can you show me the web page is there? That's actually a web page that we built for WACREN, or a system that we're also running at Nordonet. It's a video content management system. And talking about that, somebody mentioned I was going to show something. So we built a little box. It's actually not that difficult. It's some technical stuff. I think the guys that sit in the corner down there, they know exactly what this is. It's just what they do, built in a little box. Looks like this, a little screen and a little video mixer. You will be able to put in your camera and put in some network connectivity, and then you can live stream your lecture. You can live stream anything. You can record it, and it will be published to the platform that you saw before on there. Super simple. I don't think I need to say anything more, right? Just works. They are pre-configured, so pretty easy. On the synchronous educational platforms, I learned something over the years. At Nordonet, we run a platform called Zoom that most of you are aware of. We run it on-prem, and we built out during COVID on that platform. And that gives some challenges because it takes up a lot of network capacity. So we have 8 zones that can host about 50 to 60,000 concurrent users, and they start using 100 gigabit of network connectivity. I just foresee that there could also be many users in this region, in this project. So the network can grow faster than you really want it to. I think that I'm going to stop here because there's like a OMO and there's a dinner. So I think I'm going to turn off. Okay, thank you, Eric.
Now, see, Eric builds very great stuff, but doesn't know how to describe them properly. So what happened, that little box is some really great innovation. So those that we worked with us in the Africa Connect 3 project would know that in that project we described a lecture capture solution. Now the reason being is that we've described the issue with capacity. So we don't have so many experts in certain areas. And when these experts teach, we lose that opportunity to capture that and reuse that lesson somewhere else. So if you think about it from a digital education perspective, sharing the resources, the expert resources we have within the region or elsewhere, the idea is, in Africa Digital Campus, when we originally started talking about it, there's something called Rapid MOOC. It is essentially what we have built here in a much larger box and costing over $20,000 more. So with this box, you can plug a TV into it for output. You can plug a camera into it to record the class, and you can stream directly to that portal that we have, which keeps the videos local. Because as you know, these files will grow, you would need plenty of storage, and we don't want you to use the internet connectivity to access these videos. We want them accessed over the RAN that currently exists already at no cost, at least on the data. So it is a great innovation, and we should clap for noting it. I don't think anybody's done this before. So that's how we want to drive. We think that there's a huge role for video in digital education. We think it's vital that we can provide lecturers and students with video at a very affordable and usable way. So most people here have used Zoom, and in those meetings you're hearing, I can't hear you, it's not clear, can you repeat that? Now, it's not possible to use those sort of infrastructures in a mainstream way, the way we want to use video. So another thing we are doing, within the Africa Digital Campus at the moment, we're using Zoom. In WACREN, we have a network of Zoom servers across the region. Again, the reason being was that we were going to try and make the service very usable, and the way to do that is to put the server as close to the user as possible. And that's great, it works perfect. Apart from, of course, the cost for the bandwidth and the licenses. So in the Africa Connect project, sorry, I beg your pardon, in the Africa Digital Campus project, in both of those pilots, we have 1,000 licenses each. But those 1,000 licenses cost money, and it's only 1,000. In the university where we have 1,000 licenses, we have a community of 40,000. So you can start to see the disparity. So we're forced to use video or use those licenses, and we're limited by the cost. But imagine a situation where everybody can use the video. So students can form peer groups using video. You can have faculty using video in their lessons or in their tutorials or whatever they might be. But we want to sort of, the word we're using is democratize the use of video in African education. It's going to cost a bit of money to build, but when we build it, we'll be able to offer video licensing to video conferencing to the universities at costs that we can afford. Currently, we cannot afford to do that. So that's part of what we're trying to do with Africa Digital Campus. So some of these prototypes will become mainstream products. We will be looking at using our NRENs to sort of make them more commonplace in the institutions we work with. We will be extending the Africa Digital Campus. We're working with 2 countries now. The next level will be to make sure we work with some English-speaking countries so that the experience will put that back into Africa Digital Campus and strengthen the offer and scale that out. So Simon was talking about data science. So within the Africa Connect, within the Africa ADC, let's keep it simple. Within ADC, the Africa Digital Campus, we have that is close to our hearts because of the nature of, I suppose, research today. So we're talking, we need to be data aware, everything is data driven. So teaching data science and artificial intelligence, it was one of the sort of areas we thought we would focus on. So within the infrastructure that Damien spoke about, we provide environments. Those that know, we understand, will know what Jupyter notebooks are and those sort of environments so students can actually engage in data science. And in the advocacy package that we have, we are talking to governments to scale up. But one of the things we can also start to talk about is how we look at common and uniform ways of actually doing this work. And yet you're right, participation in the project would allow us to provide a uniform and common platform. Now I'm not so sure if I have to test what else there is to say about ADC and digital education, but I think that's the primary thrust. Thank you.
Okay, so I think that tool is a really good one. In trying to implement lecture capture and upload onto your learning management platform, the experience for me has been that you would have a video camera, just like this gentleman before me. I'm the lecturer and he's videotaping me. Lecturers like to move around, so he's going to follow me. That aspect has been resolved by putting in place tracking cameras that track. What I haven't heard is the editing of the videos that will be recorded, because it is not everything that will be captured during the lecture that you want to upload onto your learning management platform. Have you thought through that, and what will be your comment on that? Thank you.
So yes, that is actually being addressed. So when this little box push the video to that video management platform, what happened is that hopefully everybody's federated. So you log in, you go into something called My Videos in there. You see your video, you cut the ends, so you don't want the beginning and the end, for example, and then you click Publish, and then it goes directly to your management or to your LMS system. So it's thought about. It's a flow. It's a workflow.
Yeah. Doesn't like you. Can't speak onto this.
Why didn't I go? So, Eric just talked about very simple editing.
Yeah.
Where you sort of, so you're probably asking for a more complex. I'm not sure why, because you're not trying to create a video. You're trying to sort of capture a class. So even when you say tracking cameras, if you've looked at the capture, the lecturer doesn't actually go beyond the space in front of his class. It is and the arc isn't very, very wide. So you should be, the cameras, you should be able to capture that space. Now, the lecturer might want to add some other stuff, captioning or whatever. That's okay, a bit more further down the road. Or he might be able to speak to it. Now, I don't see that there will be a requirement for that degree of editing that you are describing, because it's really just capturing the class. So the lecturer teaches. There might be like Eric mentioned, an early part you want to trim, or maybe the end where there's some material that you don't want to publish. But in the main, it's like, see, if you look at the cameras now, they're on me. So all the time I spend talking, that camera can be focused on that section of the class that there is. And then if you have more than one, how many ports does this unit have now for cameras? 8. So you can have up to 8 cameras in your class. So if you were to, and these cameras, of course, the cameras are getting cheaper by the day, so HD cameras are freely available. So you could even have a dedicated class. It is intentionally mobile, because we expect that, the nature of our class, of our institutions, it is cheaper to be able to move your gear from place to place. That way you have much more utility out of it than building a purpose-built lecture capture situation.
With you. The reason why I ask that is, in our situation, you have very large class sizes, okay? So this will be very good. Now, at some stage, you would like a live lecture to be followed by students who are at home. So real-time following of the lecture. And as we're doing here, if I'm asking a question, my colleagues outside of here would like to see who is asking the question. They can, so they feel like they are inside of the class. You want to mimic that kind of reality thing. That's
so
it.
I do understand your question, and there will be some universities that would have the dedicated auditorium where you have equipment in, and you don't need this box for that. That would be built in there. The other thing, on the live streaming, there is So when we do a live stream, there is a technical thing, like the video feed needs to go into this little box, need to be encoded, and need to be packaged, it need to be sent to a server, need to be forwarded to whoever watches the stream, and it need to be decoded there. So there is a time. And normally that time is about 30 seconds to 1 minute delay. So this one-to-one real time is not really there. That's why if I do stuff like this with live stream, this box will do live stream in that way. I normally set up a chat so the remote participants, they can write their questions in the chat, because talking back to that is not really working.
In love with your product. When is it going to move from prototype to...
How many units are you ordering?
You said?
How many units are you ordering?
How many do I need?
How many units are you ordering?
How much does 1 unit cost?
No. We will get to that in view. Because what will happen first, I think, will be that Ghana would participate in the Africa Digital Campus.
Yeah, I mean...
So the idea is actually to collaboratively build the systems, evaluate them, get your input into the functionality, that P word, what's pedagogically sound and what isn't, and then sort of input that into the process. So this is a prototype. We wanted to demonstrate that it works. Yeah. The idea is good. And I wanted to also secure some of the budgets we had for rapid MOOC and not spend those budgets buying something, but making something based on our need that, we could sort of spread across the region.
Okay, so we would really like to be part of the pilot and to test it out and see how we can get it moving.
Another question?
Okay, thank you.
Okay. You need to put it on. So so there's one question there, another question there too. Three. I'm not the chair,
Who wants to go next? We'll do it in proximity order. Kelly.
Okay, my mic isn't working, is it? Okay. Okay, thank you so very much. I think Prof has also taken care of part of my question. In WASCAL, we think the COVID has really made us to look inward, the importance of making our classrooms really state of art, with this kind of facility. So my quick question to follow up, how much is this going to, Omo, you have not told us what is the unit cost of the prototype. That's number one. Number two, if it's a pilot, how is WASCAL going to benefit from this pilot demonstration? We'll be very glad to make us as the text classroom in that pilot experiment. The beauty of it is that WASCAL, you are not going to start with ground zero with WASCAL. We had some infrastructure in our classroom which you can then build on if you make WASCAL to be part of that pilot experiment. Thank you.
So first question about the price. The answer is the same as to Mr. Chigabatia, who is the CEO of Garnet. So yes, we now have Garnet and WASCAL wanting to join the Africa Digital Campus. So we've noted that. And yes, and thank you for the offer. We'll be really glad to work with you. We're already working with the university, the virtual university in Burkina Faso, a primary partner. And one thing I failed to mention is in the advocacy package, what we have been doing is talking to government. We're fortunate in the sense that the Minister of Digital Transformation in Burkina Faso is also a computer scientist. So that has been really very helpful in the conversation. So amongst the things we're doing, like Damien mentioned, we are applying some of the end-to-end services in delivering the ADC project, so EduID, EduRoam. So the minister has agreed for us to run a pilot where we're going to test Bonafide, because the whole idea for Bonafide, for instance, beyond the fact that it provides identity and access management on campus, is that it also implements what we're calling a lifelong learning identity. So across the world now, there's a movement. You know, I think class was discussing that a little bit this morning. And a movement where your identity you get in education is lifelong. So lifelong learning is becoming something that we're all getting used to. And we want a situation where if you get an identity, even at primary school, that identity stays with you, your education identity stays with you right through your career and after that. And the way we've implemented it is simply by having a system where as you go through your educational career, each institution that you happen to be in adds attributes to that primary identity. So I am Omo at oia.com. That's my personal identity. And that part of in the system, that part of the identity and my address, my personal email address is always within my control. So I can change that as it changes. But when I go to primary school, my primary school adds that this identity happens to be with me, connected to me now. And whatever attributes they want to add to that identity, they can add to it. When I leave that level, there's a different institution that I can now add attributes to that particular identity. The beautiful thing about that whole process is that at any point in time, you have a history of my educational transactions. So she's agreed for us to start a pilot in Burkina Faso where we look at that whole scope from primary school to tertiary. It's going to be an interesting project, and we're looking forward to doing that. So we'll be plenty of opportunity to work with WASCA. There was a, okay.
So the next question for Omo. Okay. So you, sir, then we'll come over to, don't worry, I've forgotten. So this chap, then over there, then back to the person in the delightfully stripy top.
Thank you very much. My first question is the following. As I'm teaching mathematics, need I a cameraman to follow me with this tool? Because in this case, usually you have to write down a lot of things at the blackboard, and at the same time you have to interact with students and so on and so forth. That is my first question.
So a question to you. I think you're probably one of the few people in this audience who'll know with this. Do you use a visualizer to write the equations? Yeah, well, I'm not saying. So, gentlemen, do you provide a visualizer for the poor mathematicians who've got to write equations down? Yeah. Because it's very difficult to read off the whiteboard.
Yeah.
I think this mathematician does it on a blackboard.
So writing in the blackboard and explaining with gesture and look at the student and interact with them. Are they really following us or so on, so on, so on. But anyway, I suppose that it depends on the type of the class. If you have a little number of students, you can cope. But with a large student, there is other issues. Okay.
Well, I think, I mean, it's a serious point because it's not just mathematics. It's how do you write things on a black or white board. Data science, you have plenty of examples of that when you're trying to show how an equation is developed. Are you planning a visualizer add-on to your black box?
I'm actually not a visualizer, but maybe you could put a writing board on or something like that. There are electronic whiteboards that you can actually integrate directly into a system like that. I haven't thought about that yet. We tried to solve the infrastructure part. Now we are in the classroom. I didn't really solve that, but there are many ways to solve that. Otherwise, it's just a matter of setting the camera so they can see the blackboard.
So, yeah.
So if that wasn't very clear, Usman, look, you can think about, and I'm just going to echo what Eric said. So even if it was simply about writing on a blackboard, like I tried to say at the beginning, it's an area. You're writing, if you watch any of the videos in the popular MOOCs, there are MOOCs everywhere, the MIT, OCW, whatever. You've got a camera. So how many cameras do you want in your room? Do you want one camera on the board? Do you want one camera on the board and you? How far are you going to walk? Are you going to walk from the beginning of the class to the end of the class of that class with 1,000 students, or are you just going to stay in front of it? So if you're standing in front of it, one camera is probably more than enough. If you need another angle, you have another camera, but that's not a problem. Now, if you wanted to go really digital, like, Professor Taylor is talking about here, then you are talking about a device that you plug into something and you write on and is displayed somewhere else. That display might be via a projector or TV, or it might be, if your class is networked, directly onto some screen in front of the student. Hopefully, as we embark on this journey to sort of digitalize our education, these issues, your students might even be the ones that solve it for us, by come up with an idea and how you sort of approach that is contextual, which is what we want. We want you to think about the problem in your own context and come to us, and then we can collaborate to resolve the issue.
Thank you. Maybe I want to start where you've stopped. Or more. I think the technologies, no, I'm not talking about that, but I think the technologies that we have now that can be used to solve this problem. I'll give you an example. We have a pilot project in Uganda with Huawei technologies. You can have a lecture at 2 different campuses using one campus. And using smart boards, you're able to write, and learners elsewhere can be able to see exactly what you're writing, even if you're teaching math. And they will be able to raise questions using that kind of environment, that e-learning environment. Therefore, I don't know whether he's saying that that can work, but of course there are other technologies. Maybe the problem is the cost. The technologies do exist, but how much do they cost for you to be able to achieve that? But this is a very good starting point. So others are really very expensive. Now I also want to go to Africa Digital Campus. The one say that is in Benin and elsewhere. In Uganda, we are not using that kind of arrangement. I know it's a very good one, we shall learn from you. But what we have done, we have about 100 cluster centers dividing the country into 100 cluster smaller units. Now, each unit will have its own network, some kind of smaller campus. And when you have these teachers, some of these teachers are innovative. They're doing a lot of things, but they don't have a platform to help them develop more apps or more things. Now, what they do, using that arrangement, we have, each center has got a cluster coordinator who is more knowledgeable, both in IT and a particular subject. Now, they sit together and do the curation of that kind of arrangement, and they can upload in the different environments. I don't know, maybe we shall share experiences with you when you start that other project to see how we share common things and difficult things. One of the major problems may be the infrastructure in the areas where you're going to operate, because when you don't have power, when you don't have enough machines and the like. But when you select a center and you use it, and teachers can move there within a defined distance, they can innovate and can be able to use it. So that arrangement is also very good. So I don't know whether you have thought about that. Thank you.
No, because what we set out to do from the onset was to leverage the NREN. So it might in some cases that what you've described might apply when the NREN is mature, in the sense that it has links to all its campuses, like we do have those kind of NRENs. So yes, that will make a lot of sense. But we're trying to basically use the services to drive the connectivity. What we're sort of seeing is that we have governments. We're trying to situate the NREN in the middle of the national digital transformation projects. We are seeing that governments are talking about digital transformation in a way that is disconnected from the realities of making it happen. So by sort of showcasing the NREN and the services that the NREN can bring, we talked about climate earlier on. I think we don't have to tell you how useful the NREN can be to that whole agenda. Now, education, which is our natural preserve, we haven't really innovated as NRENs. So this is the beginning of that innovation. So we're seeing that if we can create these services, the demand for the service would create the opportunities to connect those institutions. And as they get connected, then the need for this grouping into some kind of center becomes less and less required.
Thank you, Rama. If we move to the gentleman who's been very patient. Can you borrow a microphone?
Okay. Yes, it's good. Thank you very much for giving me the floor. I would like to congratulate first the presenters, very good presentations. I have questions for the three of you. I reserve my last question to Omo. The first one is for the equipment presented by my good friend there. I think that we have a lot of questions about that device, and a good way to maybe answer to these questions is to demonstrate it. Let us see how far it can respond. Who's asked to test it given way? If time allows, I think we can think about it.
Sure. I'll think about setting it up tomorrow. So
thank you very much.
People can touch it.
Thank you very much. And then the second question is to the chair of the session, yourself. Your idea of looking for a system to take care of student software development needs is very good and brilliant. And I was thinking, since we have a lot of them, you see, are you going to use PHP? It's off, eh? Okay, very good. A set of environments we need to allow them to develop the software. Are you already thinking about having a virtual machine that will include all of these ones so that it can ease the deployment? Because if as IT I have to go and put these things together, it will take a lot of time. But we can bring a team together, work at once, and then can deploy it for a lot of times.
I think because you're obviously a technical person like me, but to save everybody else from that, just to say there needs to be a careful understanding of pedagogical
I cannot hear you. Okay.
There needs to be a careful understanding of pedagogical needs so that we can come up with a good virtual machine that can be downloaded and implemented. The problem is very often that at one level somebody says, well, we can just use any old editor to develop software for, let's say, web services. And it turns out that the APIs that editor has are completely unsuitable. But nobody's done the deep dive into making sure it's the right editor for the right problems that the students want to solve.
Okay.
So, for example, in the campus that's being talked about, it'd be great to have a focus group looking at computer science, pedagogical needs, and actually get a really good definitive answer to that. Because you're quite right, if you can get that, it's going to save a lot of people a lot of time. And it also would standardise CS education to a certain extent as well, which is great because then you can start creating economies of scale and capacity strengthening and all that. So it's a great suggestion.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the next.
I did not finish yet. I did not finish yet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Ok, I will talk to French now. Bonsoir, j'ai oublié le nom. Je pense que c'est le représentant de l'Union européenne ou de l'IRD, je ne sais plus trop. Votre présentation m'a beaucoup fait plaisir. J'ai vu qu'au Burkina, au Bénin, jusqu'à présent, vous n'avez pu, pour l'instant, former que 60 personnes. 60 enseignants, 60 et quelques, d'après ce que j'ai vu. Ma question est, qu'est-ce qui explique, de mon point de vue, ce faible nombre? Okay. Il y a plusieurs enseignants, au Burkina notamment, de ce que je sais. Et je sais qu'il y en a qui sont réticents. quel est votre retour d'expérience après cet exercice-là? Est-ce que les gens sont vraiment prêts à aller vers la virtualisation? Nous parlons de virtualisation, d'utilisation d'outils digitaux, ou d'outils du digital, mais est-ce que les anciens eux-mêmes sont prêts à aller vers ça? J'aimerais entendre un peu votre retour d'expérience sur cela. Merci beaucoup.
Il y a effectivement 60 personnes, mais c'est aussi parce qu'on se focalise sur une seule université. On n'a pas fait un appel à tous les enseignants de toutes les universités des deux pays. On est vraiment uniquement sur une université. C'est pour ça que c'est un projet pilote. Et c'est ce qui explique que le nombre est modéré par rapport au nombre d'enseignants dans le pays. Effectivement, il y a toujours une appréhension en termes de partage, de mutualisation et d'utilisation d'outils avec lesquels on n'a pas l'habitude de travailler. C'est pour ça qu'il y a beaucoup de formations qui ont eu lieu. Et ceux qui sont venus, au début, il y en a qui étaient volontaires et qui ne sont pas venus. Et ceux qui restent, ce sont vraiment ceux qui sont intéressés et qui donc sont prêts à partager leur expérience dans l'usage de ces outils. Et également, on peut aller plus loin dans le partage des ressources pédagogiques qu'ils produiront eux-mêmes.
Merci beaucoup. Mais dans ce cas, comment est-ce qu'on essaie d'ouvrir ça à tout le monde? Je me rappelle qu'au Burkina Faso, ils avaient fait appel aux enseignants des autres universités. Mais comme vous le dites, comme c'est pour juste l'université virtuelle qui a été utilisée, comment est-ce qu'on ouvre ça aux autres universités après l'expérience que vous avez vécue? And just to not lose my flow, I will just submit my question to Omo. From what we have heard,
Microphone. Okay. So thank you so much. Mine is just more or less like a comment, and at the same time, first and foremost, to appreciate the good work that is going on, and for all of us to actually know that it's better for us to take some ownership in terms of what WACREN with partners are doing in terms of technology. There are lots of technology around, but the one that we call our own, as this particular device moves from maybe prototype to MVP, there could be reasons for us to segment the market at the end of the day and know the kind of maybe premium product, and we can actually scale. What I can say specifically is that in Nasene in Nigeria, we've been interested to be part of the pilot, and we actually have mandates for both reverse engineering and technology transfer. We want to assure that we have a big market in Nigeria, and let us see how the technology works. Let us just be committed generally and take ownership of this and see it as something that is developed and being supported by WACREN. I think that should be the arrangement first and foremost. In terms of the African Digital Campus, as Omar mentioned, English-speaking country might be interested. I think Nasene might be interested in making sure that we host one of the campuses, and let us see what we can do together around that to make sure that over 200 million Nigerians that are being challenged one way or the other have education. As you scale on the device, I would like you to consider issues that are peculiar to research. For example, in silico science or in silico research these days, we're going to be talking about around issue of virtual library, virtual laboratory, and virtual manufacturing. These are things that are within the precinct of R&D that is actually going for commercialization. So as you scale on that particular product, let us see that it's beyond only classroom. There are ways that we need to teach our TVET and other form of education. So I think all this thought process must be carried along as we develop the prototype. And as it moves to MVP, we're going to be very, very interested in having that engagement through WACREN, and then let us see how the product will come out. I thank you.
Yeah, that's a question for you, Professor Taylor, and I think it's a simple one. With the emergence of open AI tools like ChatGPT, how is that going to affect the pedagogy of computer science teaching?
Merci beaucoup, je vais parler en français. Ok, c'est pour apporter un complément d'information, une contribution aux collègues du Burkina. Voilà, en Côte d'Ivoire, lorsqu'on a créé l'université virtuelle de Côte d'Ivoire pour la formation à distance, c'était innovant. Au début, il y a eu beaucoup de réticences et à la suite, l'AUF est venu en partenariat à l'université virtuelle. Et l'université virtuelle est considérée comme l'université qui renforce les capacités de tous les enseignants qui veulent basculer dans la formation à distance en Côte d'Ivoire. Et ça se passe très bien, de plus en plus le nombre augmente. Il faut qu'une université soit pilote, qu'elle fasse ses preuves de bonnes pratiques, et puis ça peut convaincre les autres pour élargir le réseau des formateurs. Merci.
Thank you. Now, I have to say, I got Cote d'Ivoire.
Okay, so Dr. Popola, definitely. We will talk in Abuja next week. And I think we can take Belko's question and go and catch the bus for the gala dinner. So you're fine, Belko? In that case, Chair?
You want to say anything about the open AI? So I've got an answer for that. Yeah, there's been a lot of worry in education about open AI and the chatbots, but it's not a new problem. Plagiarism, that's a perennial problem, and unfortunately the only way we've managed to solve it is by individual vivas. And I think as we scale educational systems, you've got to have that in mind. There's always going to be the human element. That, and who's going to do the marking?
Well, I'm not an academic. I have found ChatGPT very helpful. So I will leave that problem for academics. Well, I think this is where we stop. Yes, we do have to go. You can see my CEO is saying, close that thing.
Okay, so just to wrap things up, thank you for some absolutely excellent questions, and I'd just like to thank the rest of the panel for some excellent responses. Thank you very much. And I think a quick word about some administration regarding this evening. Here it comes.
All right, so thank you very much. Please put your hands together for our last panel. It's been a great day, it's been a long day, it's been a thrilling day. And this is where we draw the curtains on WACREN 2023 Conference Day 1. And where we open the curtains to a lot of eating, a lot of dancing. And I want to see a lot of my friends here. From Jayan to Renu to Zamaran to Garnet to Echo Connect to Togo Rare to IOI to ICTP to Wascal to Dolphin, Vodafone, everyone. I want to see everyone dancing. So we want to, we will leave here at 7 because we know people have sat for a long time, so we don't want to go back and sit again. So we want to leave here at 7 so you can have some time to chat with your friends, right? But as a communications person, again, I'm biased. Please ensure you do hashtag WACREN 2023, at least when you get there, when you get to +233. Just take a photograph of yourself and your friends and tweet and hashtag WACREN 2023. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your time spent here. We know it's been a great time. Thank you very much. We'll meet at +233. So the bus will be at the car park, right? So we are encouraged to be at the lobby latest by 6:45. Please be at the lobby latest by 6:45. So we have 2 buses that are going to take us to the place. So let us by 6:45. We want to be at the lobby.